Hello everyone, welcome to Gingergear. My name is Gingerbeard, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create gravity flipping in Clickteam Fusion 2.5 using the platform movement object. But before we start, I do want to apologize for not posting in a while. I think it's been about 3 weeks since the last time we uploaded a video, and that was because we had a lot of stuff to kind of happen, and so I'm really sorry about that. But a lot of stuff, but it has cleared up, so we can go on and get back on track. And I also want to apologize for the audio, because the audio may be kind of weird right now, and that's because the computer that we fixed the audio on, or at least we had the program that helps fix the audio, is on a computer that's kind of out of order at the moment. So really sorry about that. But let's go on and start the tutorial. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is go to this other application, or at least I have this other application right here. And if you see, we have a bunch of stuff here. But don't be afraid, this is all stuff we have done in another video. Now, if you are curious and you just are joining and you're wondering, okay, I did not see that video, don't worry, we'll have it linked in the description. We done a video where we showed how to create basic movement, and that's basically what we have right now. So we have our platform movement object, and it's default. Nothing's been touched. We have our wall and floor, and we have our player. And in the event editor, we also have our basic movement. We have our left and right key, we have our start a frame, and our collision. But you can see we don't have a jump button, and that's because we're not going to be doing any kind of jumping in this video. We'll be doing flipping, gravity flipping. Okay, so let's go on, and before we get into a lot of the programming, let's get everything done in the event or in the frame editor. So let's first get an active object. And we want this active object to be our sensor to detect whether we're on the ground or not. And having a sensor is very handy to have because it makes it easier to detect whether you're on the ground or not. And let's go on into our object over here, and let's hit new. Let's go to this little resizing tab right here. And let's keep the width the same, but we want the height to be only a pixel high, so we'll set it to 1. Let's hit apply, and there we go. So let's go on, and I'm going to go on and click a color to fill it in with, and I'll do like a purple here. And let's go on and make sure the hot spot is in the middle, so be sure it's in the middle. Now we're done here. So we're going to go and hit OK. And now since we have our bar here, let's go and name it. We'll just name it bar. Okay. So now that we have all that done, we do need to go into our player and let's set some animations, because if we run the application, you can see we can move left and right, we collide with the ground. We can't jump, but you also notice too, if we move left and right, we're not changing directions, and he has a face, and if we're moving left, we want him to face left, and we can see that he's just facing right the whole time. So to fix this, let's go to our player here, and let's double click him, and we have an empty direction right here, and that's what we want our other direction to be at, is here. So the easiest way to do this is go to our right direction. Let's click on our player. Let's copy. And let's go to our direction here, our left direction. And let's go on and paste them in. Okay, so the one thing is he's still facing right. So to do this, to fix this, we need to go to this left and right arrow right here and flip horizontally. There we go. So now we have, whoops, go on and if you accidentally do that, just hit that bottom middle hot spot right there on the quick move. Okay, so now we have both directions. But we're also going to need something else. And when we go to flip gravity, we want him to be upside down. So let's go on over here to the animation, and let's hit new. And just type in flip. Alright. Now, to make this a little easier, because we're just going to need a direct copy, but just upside down, let's just go to our stopped animation. We want to right click on stopped, and we want to hit copy. Now after that, we want to go to our flip, and hit paste. There we go. So, to go on and flip him upside down, make sure you're selected on one of your directions, and let's go to the arrows over here. Instead of the left and right, we want to go to the up and down, and this will flip vertically. There we go. So let's go to our left and do the same thing. We also want to keep the hotspot exactly the same. We don't want to put it up there on where his feet would be at. We want to keep it where it's at. Alright, so now let's go and hit OK. And now we're going to need to add values to the player. So let's go on and click our player. Let's go to the Properties tab, AZ, and let's add 2 new values. And the first value is going to be Y-fall. And the second one's going to be animation dir. There we go. So we're just going to keep those default right now. And let's come down here because we're going to do something. It's this is new to Clickteam Fusion. And one of the recent updates, they added in nameable flags, and you can also initialize them. So it's really cool. You can actually hit new now, and you can type in a name. So let's go and hit new flag, and let's type in flip, and we'll just keep it by default. Now flags, if you're unaware what they are, they're basically a true or false type of thing, or like a 1 to 0, where if we hit the button, so let's just say the flag is on by default, and we want to hit spacebar to turn off the flag, it will turn it off. It's just simple like that. It's just turning on and off, like a light switch. So now since we got our flag, let's go on and keep it as is. Now let's go on, and I guess we can go on and start with the event editor now. So let's go on up in here in the event editor, and you can see we have all of our basic stuff here. But let's go on and add something new here, and we're going to do a group of events. And in this group of events, we just want to type in animation, because this is where we're going to put a lot of our animation stuff at. Alright. Now, what we want to do is go to our basic platform stuff over here, and you can see we have this our left and right keys. Well, in order to change animation from left and right, we're going to have to come up here, and let's go to our player. And on left, we want to set an alterable value, and we want to set the animation dir to 0. Keep that 0. And let's set our right key. No, I'm sorry. D is right and A is left. Sorry about that. So set our D to 0, and let's set our A to 1. Make sure that animation dir is selected, or whatever you named it. Okay, so now what we want to do is come down to our animations, and we want to go and add a new condition. And we want to say, we want to check for the player. We want to go on and go to alterable values and compare an alterable value. And we want to compare the animation. And if it's 0, we want to come to the player, and we want to go to animations, change direction of animation to right. And now we want to do the same thing, add another condition. And we want to go to our alterable values, compare, animation dir, and we want to, if it's equal to 1, we want to set the animation direction this time to left. Make sure to unselect right. There we go. So now, if we go and run the application, you can see we fall, we're moving right, we're moving left, and look at that, we're switching directions. So now we're looking left and right. Okay, so we got all that covered. Now we need to go on and start working with flipping. So what we want to do is, though, we want to be able to track what the value is of our gravity or our max y velocity. So to do this, we want to go on and add a new condition, and we'll just add this into our animation. So we're doing always, and let's go and move this up to the top right here, because so it doesn't kind of get in the way of all of our animations. And in here, we want to go to our platform movement object, and let's go to variables. Now, all these variables here are what is in the platform movement object. So when you like place the platform movement object into the world, and you see that whole list of variables that you can tweak, this is basically the same thing, and you can tweak them all in here. Except for two others, and that's set additional x velocity and y velocity. But we're not going to get into those right now. We're just wanting to set our max y velocity. And we want to set our max y velocity to go to our player, values, y fall. Okay. So now we'll do one more thing, and we want to go to our always event and add another action. We want to go back to variables, and we want to go to our set gravity, and we want to set the gravity to the same thing. So we want to go to values A to M, and y fall. There we go. So what we want to do real quick though is go back to the event editor, or the frame editor, and let's click on our player, and let's come back to the properties tab in AZ, and we want to see y fall. Now we want to go and set this number, because what this is going to be doing is when we set a number, so say like the default y velocity is 800, so if we set this to 800, so if we set it 800, this will set our max y velocity to 800, and since we did the same thing for gravity, we won't have any momentum when switching to gravity, so we'll just fall immediately, and that will also set it to 800. So since they'll be both the same, there'll be no acceleration when falling. It will just be instant. Okay, so let's just set that to 800, and let's go back to the event editor. And now we want to do a few other checks. This will be kind of preemptively doing this. So let's go to our animation, and let's go on and create a new condition, and let's go to our player. And we want to go to alterable value. We want to compare. And we want to go to y fall, and we want to compare if the y fall is 800. Now this is for this animation, that new animation, the flip animation that we made. It's going to come in handy. So y fall is equal to 800. We want to come to our player, and we want to go and set the animation, which we're going to go to animation change, animation sequence, to stop. Okay, so if our animation is 800, or if our y fall is 800, that means our animation will be normal, so like it's been. But what we want to set is if a new condition is Untitled values, compare, and if yfall is negative 800, we want the animation to change to flip. So now, because what we want to kind of do is when we hit the space bar, we want to set that value to, like, if we're right side up, we want to set it the opposite way. So it would be negative 800. And then we want to change the animation to flip. So he's no longer standing upright, he'll be upside down. So let's go to our animations. Let's go to change, animation sequence, to flip. Okay, so now we got all that settled, we got all the animations going. Before we can really necessarily test it, we're going to need to be able to get like flipping going. So let's go on and add that. So first thing we're going to need to do though is check if we're on the ground, because by default our flag is set to off. So we're not going to be able to jump because we want to be able to jump when our flag is on. So to turn on our flag, we want to go to our little sensor bar here. We want to collisions, overlapping. So if this sensor bar is overlapping the floor, and let's add another condition, and we want to see if the player, and we want to go to our alterable values, and we want to go to flags, is off, which is going to be our flip, and we want to go on and turn it on. So let's go to our player, and let's go to alterable values. Oh, sorry about that. Go to flags, and we want to set it on. There we go. So now, as soon as we hit the ground, we want to turn on the flag so we can jump, because by default we left it at off. Okay, so now since we have it set on when we fall and land on the ground, now we want to be able to flip. So to do this, let's go on and go to our keyboard, and we do upon pressing a key, which is going to be spacebar, and we want to check. So we're going to add another condition to this one, and we want to check if the sensor bar is overlapping the ground, because we don't want them to just be able to, unless you want to, but in this tutorial we kind of don't want them to be able to fall or be able to flip in midair. We want them to be able to, they have to be on the ground to flip. And let's go and check for another thing is, so we're going to add another condition to this. And in this condition, we want to check if the player's flag is on. So flip. Because remember, we're not going to be able to flip unless this is on. And let's go on and do another one. And, oh wait, forgot one more condition that we need to add in to this condition we're doing. So we're going to have 4 conditions in one. We're going to go on to insert again, right click and insert. And we want to check if we want to compare a value and if yfall is 800. Because now what we're going to be doing is we're checking for all this stuff, because when we hit spacebar, we want him to flip. Okay. So now what we want to do is go to we want to add an action, so we're going to go to our player, and we want to go to alterable values, and we want to set yfall to negative 800. There we go. Now, for us, let's go and just test it real quick, just see what we got so far. So let's go and run the application. So you can see we can move left and right, and if we hit the space bar, oh, I'm sorry about that. I accidentally missed something. And the reason why we're not jumping is because that sensor bar is not following us. So we need this sensor bar to be following our player. And let's go on and go to our yfall equals 800. and where we have our animation always playing stopped, we want to also come to our sensor bar. And in this, we want to set its position. So we want to select a position, and let's set it relevant to our player. But we are going to be wanting this to stick downwards a bit because we don't want it just inside or it's not going to register. So let's go on and type in 1 on the Y. Okay, so now since we got that taken care of, now we're going to do the same thing for the flip side. So when he flips, that's not going to do with that position right at his feet, because once we flip, he's no longer going to be technically on his feet. So we need to move the sensor from his head to his feet when he's flipped. So let's go on and right click again, this time on our Y fall equals -800, and we want to select a position relevant to the player, but this time we're going to do -32. Okay, so now if we run the application, you can see we can move left and right, and we can jump. You see, we jumped into the air and we're flipped upside down. Now we can do it again. Oh, that's right. We can't flip again because we have not set our other part of flipping, where we're check for if our value is -800, we need to flip again. So to easily do this, we can go on and just copy this completely. So we want to click on the event, and we want to hit Control C and Control V. There we go. So let's go and edit a few things, and this is going to be our Y fall is equal to 800. We're going to double click this condition, and let's change it to negative. Okay, so after we've done that, now we can go to our action, and this time we want to add it to positive. So let's go on and right click and edit this and set it to +800. There we go. I also seem to be missing one more thing that I forgot to do. And when flipping, we want to also turn off the flag. So you can see on both our conditions here, we don't have that. So let's go to our condition where if Y fall is equal to 800, let's go on and right click. And we want to flags, set flag off, and it's going to be flip. Now let's go down to our -800 one right about here, and we want to go on and do the same thing. So we're going to go to flags, set off, flip. Okay, so now if we run the application, you can see we can move left and right, we can jump, and we can flip again, and see we're right back up. So we can flip, and I can keep pressing space, and we're not going to flip in midair because we have to be on the ground. Alright, now there is one more thing I do want to address, and it was some bugs I was having when I was making this, and I just want to go on and address them now. Upon pressing spacebar, be sure this is always on top. If you don't, I had this weird glitch where if I had it anywhere below this, it would kind of like if you're in a tight space jumping, flipping gravity, it would, while you're moving, and when you hit spacebar, and like if the ground was right under you, it would act like a double jump in a way. So, or flip you automatically. So be sure the spacebar is always on top of the condition. Also, this kind of helps is when you're flipping in the air. I had this one glitch to have where if I was against a wall and I was in the middle of flipping into the air, and if I was like hugging against that wall, and if I hit spacebar again, it would flip in midair before I even touched the ground. So the way I figured out to fix this, if you do come across this bug, is we're going to go to our event that turns on the flag for us to jump again when we hit the ground. We want to add something here, and insert, And let's go on and add to the player. And we want to go collision, overlapping another object, and is wall. But we want to go on and negate it. So we're going to go here and right click on that same condition, and we want to hit negate. Because that's going to basically say that if you're checking if you are overlapping, this is basically checking if he's not overlapping. Because we definitely don't want him overlapping it and messing up where we can flip again. And I think that might be about it. So if we run the application, you can see we can move, we can flip again, flip, and do it again. Well, there you have it. If you found this video useful, be sure to leave a like. And if you need any help, be sure to leave a comment down below. And if you like our content, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to keep notified. And we will see you later. Goodbye.